it is so important that rather than hide behind staff, she should show some leadership and actually be accountable for the decisions that she makes. And that includes the decision to not be informed. That includes the decision to avoid detail. It includes the decision to have plausible deniability. Now, we all know that the doctors, nurses, clinician, administrators and all the staff in the health network do a magnificent job. We honour them. We thank them for all that they do. They do it in very difficult circumstances. Just a couple of weeks ago, a family member went to the emergency department on advice from the GP, and they were seen reasonably quickly. Then they went into the other waiting room, the next waiting room, where it took a fair amount of time to be seen. And there are a lot of other people in that second waiting room waiting to be seen. And there was one boy in that second waiting room who waited hours to be treated for his football injury. A child, hours. And that wasn't because the staff weren't working hard, quite the opposite. The staff were absolutely flat out. And conversations could be heard. There just isn't another doctor available. I'm so sorry, there's no doctor, there's no doctor. Apologies kept being made. Can you imagine working in a workplace where you're constantly apologising for things beyond your control? Beyond your control. Because that is the story that we hear so often about our health network. That the staff do a magnificent job, but they're simply not backed up with the numbers, with the people and the resources that they desperately need. Now, it's not simply a matter of spending more money. Obviously, that would help. But it's also a matter of making sure the money is going to where it's needed the most. So to all the doctors and nurses, staff at the hospital who are watching this debate right now, I thank you for all that you do for Canberra, because it is admired by everyone. Everyone knows a magnificent story of somebody who was treated with the most extreme professionalism you can imagine. And we also know the same stories where those same people are absolutely flat out. Imagine working in a place where you feel guilty for taking a lunch break. Imagine working in a place where you avoid a toilet break because the workload is so intense. Imagine a place where you frequently cancel having family dinners because you feel compelled to do a double shift. Imagine a place where you don't take annual leave. You don't take leave during school holidays because you know that would leave your colleagues under too much stress. And imagine a place where, despite all this, there weren't regular feedback channels to pass it on. Now, whilst we can imagine that, or we might even struggle to imagine that, there are thousands of honourable people in our health network that are living this every single day. And we thank them for that sacrifice. We thank them for the enormous commitment they show to Canberra every day. Because to be a doctor or a nurse or a clinician is a calling. To deal with trauma, on a daily basis is something that I think very few people could deal with. But thousands of people in Canberra voluntarily take this up, and we need to thank them for it. But we don't just need to thank them, we need to empower them. And we need to make it as easy as possible for them to continue their service to Canberra. Because it is a tragedy when we hear of doctors or nurses or other staff leave the ACT or leave the profession because they weren't given the resources they need by this government. I thank Mrs Dunn for all that she's done to raise the plight of doctors, nurses, clinicians, staff, administrators and patients. Because had it not been for her advocacy, the interim report and the final report would never have happened. And I thank all those people that gave feedback. I thank those brave people that, despite having doubts about the confidentiality, despite having concerns about whether anything would happen, still had the courage to go through with it.